What's up, everybody? KG here, founder of the internetmoney.io wallet, coming at you today. My voice is a little bit hoarse, but it's not going to stop education and innovation. We're still excited. My guest today is actually, we've interacted in the crypto space for a couple years now, and he came out with his own project. Now, despite knowing him, I know very, very little about what he's building. And I do that on purpose because I want these conversations to be authentic, and I want to show everybody what learning in real time looks like. So don't be afraid when you're out there learning crypto to ask the necessary questions. It is okay to not know everything, I promise you. So we're going to dive into what he's doing. This is a stream where we try to provide everything at a surface level, but we also deep dive because we want to get to the meat and potatoes. We want to get into the game theory. We want to get into the nuance because in crypto, it seems that the opportunity really lies within the nuance. And before we get started, I want to make one disclaimer that I have to make on all my videos, and that is nothing you hear in this video is financial advice. And I'm not going to say that every time I talk on a point. Just know that if I speak on something, it is not financial advice. And I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you for your patience on my voice this evening. I'm going to play a quick intro, and I'm going to bring up my friend, Fast Abdul.
Got my own keys and my own coin. Gotta protect this money. Took too long for me to get it. Can't let them take things from me.
What's up, Fast Abdul?
Hey, KG. Good to see you in person, man. It's been a long time coming.
Long time coming. Thanks for being here this evening. I want to give a quick shout out to the people in chat. We're streaming in 3 places right now. So what's up? Diversify, Hexdeck, Fast Abdul, Internet Money, Rags to Riches. Good to see you, brother. Alsamac, DJin Dougie, Jonathan. I love IM over MetaMask. Me too. Thank you. So if anybody has any questions throughout the stream, please feel free to drop them and I'll plug them when it's convenient. But with that said, Fast Abdul, tell me about who you are and just let's start at a high level overview of what you've built, what you're building.
Okay. Well, I think as people on Telegram know me as Fast Abdul, I'm very active in the Pulse Chain ecosystem in all the Telegram rooms and now on Twitter and other places too. I think I could say that I'm well known in the ecosystem at this point. My partner Yellow Cake is a day one Hexagon OG, and he's well known in slightly different circles, but he's been around for a while and he's a smart guy. I have one little thing I want to show you, KG, a little preview, and we can't deep dive into it right now because we're going to have to backtrack. But I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
Sorry, small technical difficulties. Okay, I'm just going to share my entire screen for a second. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm going to add you.
Can you see it?
I can, yes. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Okay. So this is the we give 2 fucks about time strategy. Okay. Now,
All
so the
right.
graphics are a little choppy. I'll fix them up, but I was working on this until the second before I dialed in with you. So
Okay.
right now we don't have enough information to explain this properly, but we'll be able to do that, by the conclusion of our conversation today.
Okay. I'm already enticed by anything that goes to giving any amount of fucks about time and internet money. So I'm excited to dive into that.
Excellent. So our protocol is called Two Fucks, and our slogan is that we give more fucks. Fucks being spelled PHUX. It's a little bit on the nose, and I have a disclaimer I like to do. Like we're building on top of the Fucks.io exchange, okay? But we're not part of the Fucks team or the PH ecosystem team. Those guys are sharp. They're on the ball, which is why we chose to build on top of one of their protocols. But yeah, we don't owe them anything. They don't owe us anything. They're friendly with us. They give us information we need to help make sure our users and their users are safe when our protocols interact together in not too long from now, possibly just a couple months. So it's a good relationship, but it's important to know that it's a separate team. Okay. So, and then as far as the protocol goes, it's not live yet. There's been scam tokens several times already. So check in the Telegram room. Don't buy anything. There's nothing to buy. There will be, but we'll let you know. And the Telegram room will be the place to do that. We'll make sure there's some links, for you to find that information. So what Two Fucks is a fork of something called Aura Finance. Now, Aura Finance is a fork of something called Convex, right? Now, this is going back quite a ways on Ethereum. These are big protocols. Like Convex has something like $2 billion total value locked in it. Like this is major, like top 20 DeFi stuff, right? And they're complicated, not easy to fork protocols, right? Which is why we've actually been working on this for just about 6 months now. We just didn't tell anybody until a month and a half ago that we were even had this project on the go. Or maybe a couple people knew, but like the general public did not know until we were sure it could be done. And now we're approaching a time where we're starting to look for getting the audits done and finishing up the final details on development. And hopefully there'll be a product that will launch soon. Now, it's important to note that Fucks is a fork of Balancer from Ethereum. Balancer is one of the best dexes in the world, in my opinion. And they're a fork of Balancer V2, which is the most modern Balancer. It's possibly the most modern way to provide liquidity, period. There we go. We found Aura Finance. Now, Aura Finance works with Balancer on Ethereum in the same way that Two Fucks will work with Fucks on Pulse Chain. So, and Fucks is spelled PHUX. Two Fucks is 2PHUX. Our website is 2phux.io. The way that Fucks works is very important to the entire project and why we're building on top of it. They have a very dynamic system where they give out a token as yield, additional yield. Some people would call it yield farming, which is the Fucks token, the PHUX token. Now, that token is not a dump token, in my opinion. It has a lot of utility. Two main things. One thing is that it gives you a yield boosting opportunity. Like you can stake your Fucks, pair it with Pulse, and becomes an LP token they call Prime Fucks. And you can stake that for up to a year to get the maximum boost. And it's a boost of up to 2.5x to your bonus yield on an what they call a gauged LP pool. Gauged just means incentivized, right, on the Fucks exchange. So 2.5x yield boost is huge. Like that's the difference between 50% and 175%, which are very much numbers that exist in some of these LP pools and that are attainable. So it's something that people should be interested in. The trouble for a lot of people comes in when they have to have a lot of Prime 2 Fucks staked in order to get close to even vaguely close to that maximum boost. It's a very complicated formula to figure out. So it's not super straightforward to understand immediately, but generally speaking, more staked Prime Fucks will give you a better boost in most situations. So when people start to need 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 to get the maximum boost, that becomes unattainable. So one of the functions of Two Fucks, just like on Aura Finance with Balancer, is we have a giant pool of what's called of the prime Fux is permanently locked in our ecosystem, meaning it can never be sold as Fux again. It comes over, gets converted to what we call prime 2 Fux, which is really just a receipt token for the fees that it generates. And the prime Fux itself is permanently staked for the maximum term of a year and constantly updated to the year to give that maximum boost to the yield. And so we're providing an opportunity for our users. Instead of using their likely much smaller pool of prime Fux, they'll be able to come and use our very large pool of prime Fux. So, and when we talk large, like I can't promise anything as far as what it'll be, but when we look at what's on Aura Finance right now, they are now up to, just yesterday, they ticked over to having 53% of what they call VE-BAL, which is the equivalent of prime Fux, in their ecosystem, permanently locked in their protocol. So their potential on that is huge. Yeah, that number right there. And they, like, when I started looking at them a year ago, it was at like 30%. So like during the bear market, they moved from they're just about 3 years old. Like they haven't even been doing it for that long, and we're coming in much earlier balancer. So there should be a significant impact of this protocol, which is basically a machine that continuously buys Fux tokens, can never sell them, and locks them permanently inside the 2 Fux protocol. We're likely to have a very large portion of the 2 Fux, so people can come stake their LP tokens, right, that they make on the Fux exchange. They can stake them via the 2 Fux front end, and then they can use our giant pool of prime Fux rather than presumably their smaller pool. What do you think?
Okay. Lot to unpack there.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy.
But I'm following. So let me reel it back and break it down. Okay.
Let's do it.
So going back to Fux, Fux.io, the exchange, which is a fork of Balancer V2. Oh, and so everybody's clear that's watching. If you're from a different blockchain ecosystem, this is on Pulse Chain. And so if we're talking Balancer, we're talking Ethereum. If we're talking Fux, we're talking basically Balancer on Pulse Chain.
And if you guys are into Balancer, come to Pulse Chain and check this out because it's awesome. It's like Balancer with way cheaper fees and higher yield.
It's a win-win. No, Balancer, the more I learn about Balancer, the more I realize that Uniswap V2 dexes and in some respects, even Uniswap V3 dexes are kind of ancient in respect to like Balancer is okay.
So many more options.
All right. So we'll maybe dive into that in a minute. So take me back to, okay, ultimately in your protocol, 2 Fux, you need to get the prime Fux token. Like that's the token you need to really interact with 2 Fux, correct?
Well, the prime Fux token comes from the Fux exchange. When it enters our ecosystem, right, it becomes, it gets permanently staked. And then if somebody brings that over, then they get what's called the prime 2 Fux token, which is just a receipt token for the yield that it generates. And it can be sold. So it's kind of like a liquid staking token in that respect. Whereas on Fux, to stake your prime Fux, to get the maximum boost, you have to stake for a year and you can't remove it until the term is done, right? At which point you can, but your boost goes down proportionally over that time period. You can update it to a year every day if you want, but you can't sell it. You don't have the option, right? Whereas because we've created a liquid staking situation, you just have more options. There's no lock on it. You can stake it for a day, you can stake it for a month. You're going to get some yield that will go through. But generally speaking, like it just gives you an additional option that you didn't have to do the same thing. But the main component of the yield portion of what we're talking about, you don't require any token. You don't have to interact with our exchange, with our front end at all. You just need to bring over your LP token that you make on Fux and deposit it to Fux. And then you can use our pool. You don't have to have the 2 Fux token. You don't have to have the prime 2 Fux token. Whatever our pool is, anybody who deposits their LP token there instead of on Fux gets to use our pool instead of what they have on their own account. So kind of a
So
pool together situation, right? Governed by
so
smart contracts.
the LP token is Prime Fux.
That's
That
right.
okay. And so just like on, let's say, PulseX, I provide liquidity. I get the PulseX LP token. If I provide liquidity on Fux, I get Prime Fux. That is my stake in the pool. So if I want to remove my liquidity from a Fux pool, I would burn Prime Fux to get back my liquidity position. Right? Same
Not
dynamic.
not quite. You have the concept, except for the Prime Fux token is a specific pool. Each pool has a separate LP token. That is the pool that is 20% Pulse and 80% Fux, right? And that gives you the
Mm,
Prime Fux token. Whereas like you have there's a time pool on there called the Great Time Pool, and
right.
there's a Great Time LP token, right? So for our purposes, if we're talking about doing it with internet money, like you'd be bringing over the Great Time LP token from the Fux exchange and depositing it at 2 Fux to get the boost that we have from our staked Prime Fux that's permanently locked in our ecosystem, right?
I
So
see. Okay.
yeah,
So each pool has it. So yeah, I got you. So Prime Fux is the LP token for a specific pool. In this
that's
case, it's 80% Pulse, 20% Fux.
uh, the other way around, 80% Fux,
Fux.
20% Pulse. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. So now somebody takes that Prime Fux token. Question:
Yeah.
Is that token fungible? Like, can somebody buy Prime Fux, or can they only obtain it by providing liquidity?
These tokens are potentially fungible. Like you can buy and sell them back and forth if there's liquidity attached to that specific token, right?
Mm,
So somebody would have to take like and something like the Prime Fux token. It is definitely fungible because it's used in liquidity pairs, right? So you can have a liquidity pair that consists of up to 8 total tokens, and those tokens can actually technically be LP tokens like the Prime Fux
mm,
token or the Great Time token. So the number of possibilities is baffling. But on something like the Great Time token, right? There's probably not a pool that uses that as a secondary LP thing, like the Great Time token paired with Pulse. I don't believe that exists. So then there wouldn't be a fungibility option, but it's totally doable. Like anybody can buy and sell these tokens or make pools with these tokens. But if there's no pool in order to get your LP out, then you have to effectively burn that token, break it down into the original parts. And I think it's important that we note when we're talking about balancer or Fux that there is the difference in not only the number of tokens that can be in a pair, it's up to 8, which provides crazy options, but also
mhm.
in the percentages of the token in each pair. So, like when we look at the Great Time Pool, I believe is 20% Pulse and 80% time, whereas Uniswap, V2, PancakeSwap, etc., it's generally 50-50. V3 is a whole different thing that doesn't really relate to this. That's limited in some respects, but with this, like you can actually make a pool that has any percentage as long as they add up to 100% of the tokens that are in that pair. So the 80-20 pair is probably one of the better percentages because it benefits the communities, meaning for something like Great Time, you can use 80% time and you only need 20% Pulse. So if like a community member, an internet money community member want to participate, like they might not feel like they had to sell some of their internet money to get the Pulse they need to participate in the pair. And then furthermore, on Fux, just like on Balancer, you can actually enter that pair with just the internet money token and it balances it for you, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
if it's a really big difference and it's not very liquid, there could be some slippage when you enter that way without actually having the 20% Pulse, but you can definitively enter with just internet money and participate in that pool without adding additional Pulse to your wallet. So this gives a lot of options for community members to get a decent amount of LP and to get those tokens that will provide them the yield that we're talking about without selling half their position in the protocol that they that brought them to the dance, right? That they're happy with.
Okay, I hear you. So now, okay, so we have our LP tokens. I'm caught
Yep.
up there.
Yep.
Now we head over to 2 Fucks.
You bet.
So step one, we go to the two fucks front end and we stake our prime fucks in this case.
Actually, it's going to be, let's say we're talking about the great time token. Okay.
Sure.
So, yeah. So we would stake our great time token on our front end instead of on the fucks front end.
Got you. Okay. So we're using the great time token. Now, because somebody interacts with two fucks and they lock up their fucks liquidity token, does that mean that they're effectively choosing the yield that they would get at two fucks over the ability to withdraw their liquidity or whatever incentives they deem valuable there?
Well, the yield token isn't locked, so they can withdraw it at any time, and they can take it back to the Fux exchange and unwrap it into the time and the pulse that went into that yield token in the first place. So there's zero lock on the liquidity tokens on two Fux, and on Fux there's only a lock on the prime Fux pair specifically to get the boost. So yeah, they have a lot of options. So that all they have to do is get that LP token, bring it over, stake in our front end, and then they're going to get a boost based on the prime Fux that we have in our protocol. And what I'll do is I'm going to share the Fux screen.
Well, and before you do that, okay.
Sure.
So let's for a moment, let's take out great time. Let's just focus on prime Fux because I feel like that's the foundation of everything. So if somebody brings over prime Fux and stakes that in two Fux, that's locked in there forever on a reoccurring 1 year pooled stake.
There's different, it depends how they do it, because this is actually a more complicated question. So they could bring over their prime Fux LP position, just stake it without converting it, just to get the boost that we could provide. And that would be one option. Option number two, and of course, that is not necessarily the best way to make yield, in my opinion. The next option would be to convert their prime Fux into prime 2 Fux, which is the receipt token, and then it's permanently locked in our ecosystem forever. They can sell that receipt token if they want, or they can stake it for yield and get the substantial boost that will be built into that transaction. They just will have those options, right? Whereas if they stake that same token on Fux for they'd have to stake it for a year to get the max boost, and they can't sell it if they wanted to. They have less options.
So, okay. So if I stake my prime Fux directly on Fux, I get a 2.5x bonus.
Up to.
Okay.
Yeah. And depending on how much you have, which pool you're interacting with, there's a lot of factors. But generally speaking, to get 2.5x, which is not something we guarantee either, but we'll likely be able to give an advantage. You'd have to have a lot in most cases, and that could be, as in some pools it might be $1,000 depending on what you're putting in. But on some pools, if you're putting in a lot, you could need $100,000 or silly numbers.
So basically, by doing the 2 Fux pool, you're effectively getting the bigger pays better bonus in that you are staking together and you have a higher likelihood of being the biggest player in that pond and therefore getting closer to that 2.5x bonus.
Very likely. So basically, yeah, you're staking like you're a whale, probably the biggest whale, if not on day one, over a relatively short period of time, 3 months, 6 months. You'll be the biggest whale if you bring your LP and stake it there. Now, of course, the boost only exists on what I mentioned before as the gauged pools, and only the Fux team gets to decide which pools get gauged, right? So we can't control that. But if a pool is gauged, we can provide an opportunity to get a large yield boost.
So now, if I have my position in prime 2 Fux, the receipt token, let's just say for numbers sake, I have 1% of that supply. Does that mean I get 1% of all the yield that is generated, or does it not break down that cleanly?
Okay. The prime 2 Fux token ends up just being like a staking token for yield, right? So it would be what you'd get if you'd staked your prime Fox on Fox plus the additional boost and our extra tokens that we have in our ecosystem as well, which is the 2 Fox token and the prime 2 Fox token. So part of the yield gets turned into more prime 2 Fox and locked in the system. So every time somebody makes a claim, we're actually building the pool automatically as part of how the protocol works.
I got you. So you get a compounding interest effect, so to speak,
and a compounding power effect. Right, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right, it's exponential growth.
Yeah,
right. So now, are the rewards that I am getting paid out, are they in the 2 Fox token or are they in PLS, or what is the actual reward that's being paid out?
Sometimes it's gonna depend on the pair, but generally speaking, for most LP tokens, that's going to be a payout in the Fox token and the 2 Fox token, right? So you get the same Fox token you would have got on the Fox exchange, right? And then you'll get some 2 Fox tokens as well, which is the key to our ecosystem.
Okay, let's put a pin there. We'll circle back. I see you want to share something. Let's dive into this.
You bet. So I think this is gonna clear up some of the details here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, so I'm looking at the wrong pool. Let's find an interesting pool. Oh, look at this. Here's the great time pool. So we can see here, okay, 80% time, 20% pulse, like we talked about, right? This is a decent sized pool, $700,000. You guys have a lot of liquidity now. That's pretty tough.
Look at that, everybody. Shout out time holders.
For sure. And I'll give you a little alpha on this. When people look on Dex Screener, which I know in our ecosystem is the main thing that they look at, you can't see this pool.
I know, what a travesty.
Right? So on Gecko Terminal, you can. And I know like in the Internet Money Wallet, it would route through this pool, right? Like, as part of how the protocol works. But yeah, people can't see that it's here. So there's like almost like pushing $1 million that a lot of people just don't know exists. So that's hopefully I think they're working on fixing that. But yeah, right now that is an issue. So let's look at this APR over here, right? So we got 19, or we'll say 20 to 40% for easier math. And then this little magic button here, if I put my mouse over that, it gives us what the breakdown is. So we can see, and to be clear, this is one of the gauged incentivized pools that's been approved by the Fox team, right? So it does have the bonus yield. So we can see the swap fees, right? That's so just for the transactions, that's 5.64%, which is decent actually, as far as this sort of thing goes. That's higher than a lot of things. So there's obviously people are, buying and selling time, mostly buying by the looks of it. And the minimum staking APR, that's the bonus APR, and all the APR is paid out in the Fox token, is 13.53%. But then the maximum staking APR is that 33.83%. So the difference between the 13 and the 33 is that boost. So, and then the prime Fox you had would determine which of those two numbers you got. If you staked your Great Time LP token on the Fox exchange and you didn't have any prime Fox staked, you would definitively get the lower number, right? But if you had a lot of prime Fox, you might get the higher number or somewhere in between. And of course, if 2 Fox has, let's say, $500 to $1 million worth of prime Fox permanently locked, you're much more likely to get closer to the high end than because it would be, when you use it, you're using it like it's your wallet. So the chances of you getting 40% in this case are much greater. So, which is, and 40% is nothing to sneeze at. We're going to talk about how we can make that a bigger number. But, I think that's, that's something most people should be interested in.
Okay. So, and apologize if I'm being repetitive. I'm just really trying to drive it home for myself. So I provide liquidity here in this pool.
That's right.
I then get the Great Time liquidity pool token.
Yep.
Well, and it's because what's the name of the token? Great Time token.
Great time, yeah. And it has like it has like a contract number, just like and you can look it up. There's a copy paste button built right into Fux. They have a really nice UI, so you can find the token, you can find the logo. It's all right on the exchange.
Got it. Okay. So I get the great time token.
Yep.
Now I take that token, and where do I go? If I
Go
was
to
doing it through the,
twobucks.io.
okay, all right. Is there a front end you can show me or anything yet?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Let's
Yeah. Let me.
do that.
So I have my great time. Now I'm taking the next step.
Sorry, I got to make a quick change here.
Yeah, and while we have this down moment, if you have not yet, please like the YouTube video, or if you're on Twitter and you're watching this, please give it a retweet, drop a comment, share the word. All right, spread the word rather. Here we go.
Okay, so here's the 2Fux front end. See, we're very shiny. We've gone with a gold motif. So,
That's pretty cool. I like that. It's a nice graphic.
You bet. We got the disclaimer right there. Like the site it's not live yet, right? But we can take a look at it with take a tour button here.
Sure.
So we end up here. I'm not going to go through all the details here, but we'll end up on the pools page, right? And you'll see these are just placeholders here. You'll see your pool, your great time pool. You'll pick it, right? Then you'll be able to deposit, set max for 100% and approve and deposit it into that pool.
So I understand on the previous page, those were just placeholders, but how does a pool end up there? Is it pulling all of it from Fux, or is the 2Fux team choosing what goes here?
The protocol automatically pulls all the gauged pools and only the gauged pools, right? So it's not bothering with every single pair, because it's redundant to have those pairs get pulled because they're not incentivized. So we can't do anything to make it better. You can still provide LP and make fees on a not gauged, not incentivized pair, but as we've seen, it's in the internet, the great time pool is only 5% LP fees, and then it's up to 35% the bonus fees. And the bonus fees is what we can help with. And so those are the ones that will be displayed in our pools list, is just those. Right. So that'll give that's what's going to give people the boost, is the pools that have the bonus fees. And it's going to be just like this. It's going to give you the APRs. You'll be able to see before you go in what the bonus is. Like it's actually going to have and I don't have that. It's not here yet because we don't actually have this hooked up to Fux. Though we have other things. We're actually doing some live testing right now, so we know it works. But this APR button will show you that your boost is 2.44x, for example, right? So you'll know that before you go in, and you'll know what the actual percentage is before you commit to going into that pool. And even if you did commit, you can always just pull that LP token. It's not locked in any way whatsoever. So it's just a matter of staking it in our front end versus the Fux front end to get the larger boost, which is, what we're endeavoring to do. We don't guarantee that, but the math says yes.
Where I am feeling lost is I'm not clear on the distinction of what gets locked up forever and what is a temporary stake in the 2Fux protocol. I'm not clear on the distinction.
You bet. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go back to that Fux exchange. We're going to take another look, and we're going to look at how the boost works over there. And I think it's going to become clear.
Okay.
So when we look at the pools here, we're going to see that the top pool is usually the Prime Fux pool. It's the one that has the most money in it. So it's, almost $6 million. And look at this. These guys have $33 million total value locked. It's big. It's like the second largest DEX on the Pulse chain and bigger than every other DEX underneath it combined. So, fairly impressive. And it's by far the most successful fork of Balancer V2 in existence. So here's the Prime Fux pool, which is 80% Fux and 20% Pulse. Okay. This you have a staking option for when you're on Fux. This is the staking page to get the boost, and there's also a voting component that we'll go through. But right here, boost liquidity mining to yield up to 2.5x. So this is where you do it. Okay, you'll see here there's options for times, and generally speaking, people always just want to go with the max time because that gives the best boost. And when we get to the votes, that also gives the best voting power. But then you're locked, right? That's the deal. So with this is the only token that gets locked on Fux. And then on 2Fux, this is the one, if you convert it to Prime 2Fux, then you get a receipt token. This is locked in our ecosystem forever and can never be sold or converted back to Fux. But the receipt token you can sell when you want to. So you'll be able to stake that receipt token for yield, and we can look at the Prime Fux pair here and see that there's very substantial yield, and you can see the boost because this is all coming from that. So this pool pays between 1% and 54%. That's a very large difference, and the difference will be made up by how much staked Prime Fux that you already had in the ecosystem. So so you bring that over, you convert it to Prime 2 Fux. You could sell it if you wanted to, or you could stake it and likely get a much higher boost on this as well than you would by yourself. So it's an options token for us that is giving that boost power. But because of the liquid staking thing, you just have more choices.
Okay, let's stay here.
Okay.
So I can understand that the 1% bonus is obviously going to be for the smallest players participating in this. And the bigger of a player, the closer you're going to get to that 54%. Now, that's where 2Fux comes into play, because you are becoming one big player who is going to continue to roll that stake into this pool.
Yeah,
so
quite likely the biggest player. So yeah, whatever the maximum is, if anyone's getting it, being involved with 2Fux is probably one of the ways to do that.
Which, if we're looking at that Aura Finance page, they own 53%. It's mathematically impossible that even if every single other person band together, there's no way that anybody else can be bigger than them. It's not possible mathematically. So I could
53%. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now the calculation is a little more complicated because it depends on things like what the total volume is on that pool, right? So being involved in a $6 million pool is different than being involved in a $100,000 pool. So there is variance. And if we look at Aura, we're going to see that some of them are paying 1.9x, and some of them are 2.49x, or even up to the 2.5. But there will be variance. It doesn't all automatically hit the 2.5 because it is complicated. But unless you have a lot in that ecosystem that you've staked for a year, it's very likely to be better than what you'd be able to do by yourself.
Okay. So I choose to not participate in this. In my example here, I choose to not participate in this. I choose to go over to 2Fux.
Yep.
Now I take my Prime Fux and I convert it to the Prime 2Fux receipt token.
Yep.
Now 2Fux is the biggest player in this example. We get the bonus yield. Now, is it a direct every single person gets the equitable bonus, or how is it that my position in the bonus is accounted for? Is it, again, going back to the question, is it, hey, I own 1% and we got X amount of bonus, so I get 1% of those X's? Is it a direct one-to-one?
Nope.
Okay.
If we had $1 million of Fux locked in the ecosystem, it would be like you had $1 million of Fux. Every single player, every single user, it's like it's just them.
Okay, but then, but it's not that. I mean, the way that's framing in my mind is because they still have to split the yield, because every player doesn't effectually, unless they do effectively have the $1 million
Well,
each? Like, how does that work?
the yield is like, because the boost is just determined by how much, like on a wallet by wallet basis, right? The boost is determined by how much prime fucks you have staked in your wallet, and it's a larger boost if it's staked for the maximum period of time, right? Think of two fucks as one wallet, right? And every person who comes in and uses it, it's like they're all
Mhm.
using the same wallet. Now, of course, we understand that it's like there's immutable smart contracts that are controlling that and making sure that people can take out what they put in. But it's really like, it's kind of like, you made a deal with your buddy. Hey, let's pool our prime fucks, and so that we can both get boosted yield. Well, that deal could go terribly wrong without smart contracts. So, we've have very substantial smart contracts that have been audited many times on Ethereum, and that we'll have audits for on the Pulse chain, that ensure that everybody can pull together and get the maximum boost, like they were one person that just had that huge pool.
So they're not splitting the yield. They're getting individual. So there's, let's just say there's a 2.5x bonus. Each
Yeah.
player in the two fucks pool is getting an individual 2.5x bonus based on their input into the pool.
Yeah, if the bonus was, for conversation's sake, 2.5x,
Sure.
and one guy brought in 100, one guy brought in $1,000 worth of LP, they would both get that same bonus, right? Based on the amount that they brought in, right? Like if they'd done it just through the Fucks front end and had that $1 million in prime Fucks themselves, the result, would be similar.
Okay, so basically they're going to get that payout in the form of the fucks and two fucks token. And it's going to be, in this example, 2.5x more of that reward than if they would not have staked in two fucks.
Yeah, but presuming that they had 0 prime fucks staked on the Fucks exchange, yeah, it would go from a 0x boost to the potential 2.5x boost. So yeah, from 50 to 175%, for example, would be like a 2.5x boost. So substantial difference, right? And and there's quite a range of of different boosts available. Sometimes it's over 300%. I've seen 75% or more on stable coin pairs, just like $2 coins bouncing back and forth with little or no impermanent loss. There's a lot of advantages for being able to get that big boost on some of these better LP pairs with quality tokens.
Okay, so now I've done all that. I have two fucks token, not the prime two fucks. I have the two fucks token. What am I doing with that?
Okay, so that's going to bring us to the next part of how the Fucks exchange works. So the first part, and it's all about the Fucks token and what it does. The first thing the Fucks token does is, you can stake it and get up to that 2.5x bonus yield. But then the next thing that a lot of people don't understand is actually kind of a DAO. And it's the best kind of DAO because it's very simple and you're only voting on one thing, and that is which pool gets the most yield, right? So the other advantage of having a lot of Fucks staked permanently in our ecosystem is that we're going to have a huge percentage of the votes. So when we looked at Aura Finance, right, and they say 53%, that means they have 53% of all the votes on Balancer are controlled by Aura Finance, right? Like Balancer is like billions of dollars. So that's pretty interesting, right? So to be early to the Fucks ecosystem, the Balancer V2 fork on the Pulse chain, and have a chance to get to that position where we would control, a serious quantity of the votes. Those votes only go towards one thing, and that is which pool gets the most yield. So you can split up your vote for multiple pools. But if I was in like the time community, I'd probably put all my votes, and I've done this before, towards the Great Time pool. And when a pool gets votes, it not only incentivizes the person who's providing liquidity, they want to vote for that pool so they get a better boost to their yield, but everybody who's in that pool also receives the boost from the extra votes. So the whole community benefits from one community member voting for that pool.
So I'm getting the two fucks token,
Yeah,
and that is also subject to the bonus.
that's right.
So then, so does the, oh, but you're getting the fucks token. Okay. So the fucks token is how you're voting in where the yield goes on fucks. But does the two fucks have any voting power?
Well, the Fux token is on Fux, which determines where the votes go. But the prime, like the Fux, is locked in our protocol forever, and the
Mhm.
two Fux token is the token that our users use to get their percentage of the votes. Right. So
Mm.
if there was $1 million in Prime Fux, and you had 10% of the two Fux tokens, you would control 10% of the votes on two Fux, which would be the equivalent of $100,000 worth of fucks, like if you'd had that yourself, right? So the math will quite likely be much greater than if you just went and bought that. So those people will be able to control where the votes go on fucks. So if you had 10% of $10% of $1 million and you're moving $100,000 around, that that could start to be very interesting. You'd increase the pool for not just you, but your entire community would experience a greater yield on any gauged pool that they voted for.
So by holding two fucks, I effectively tell the two fucks smart contract how to cast the votes.
You bet. So you on our front end, you can lock your two fucks token, which gives you there's some yield associated with locking it, right? You get actually the prime two fucks token, which again compounds to make the system more powerful, right?
Gotcha.
That's how we pay out the yield with this receipt token, and then like it just keeps building and building. But then you also get that voting power proportionate to the amount of two fucks tokens you have exactly. So then that can keep compounding. It goes back to the pool that you're interested in, and then you're going to get more yield, and then so on and so forth. And if a whole community came together on something like this, they could have very interesting results. And what we could do is we could look at how the votes work on Fux, and then we can see exactly what the result would be, or roughly anyway. Could
Okay.
I share this screen? There we go.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
let's find our favorite pool. Okay, so here's the great time pool. Okay, so right now, the great time pool has 1.66% of the total votes on Fux are going towards that pool. Right, and that's a bunch of money. Like that's probably something I'm ballparking, but I'd say in the range of $200,000. Maybe more like 140 perhaps. Yeah, is of Fux votes are going towards that pool. So it's a substantial amount of money that's doing that. Now, when we look over here at the yield, right, and we see where the yield is coming from, okay, so it's that 13 to 33%. If that vote doubled, we'll just say it doubles to 3% for easier math, then this yield would also double. Instead of 13 to 33, it would be 26 to 66% bonus APR on top of the 5% swap fees. So you'd start hitting 70%, for example, right? So it starts to be interesting, right? To have that kind of voting power to be able to boost a pool like that. So when you start talking about $1 million versus worth of Fux it's getting voted with, you can see how these numbers could change dramatically. Now, there's other factors too. Like if this pool stayed the same and the number of votes doubled, then those numbers effectively double. If the pool gets bigger, which it tends to do when the yield goes up, then it would come down proportionally as well. So there's a bit of a catch-up game as more of the community comes in. But with the token like Time that has another option to pay you, it ends up giving people the choice of, do I keep it in my wallet and get the pulse yield that way? Or is it better right now to be in this pool, right? So they have an option to do it both ways. They have an extra incentive not to sell that token and to provide liquidity potentially, especially if you start getting to 70% APR, interesting numbers like that. A lot of people are going to take that instead of selling, right? And they might even take that instead of holding because, it starts to be a very substantial impact on, your balance.
Okay. And so I guess if somebody in the Time community wanted to both utilize two fucks and boost time yield and boost the yield period for the liquidity providing, they would they would allocate their votes from holding 2 fucks. They would
That's
stake
right.
the 2 fucks token, and then
Yep.
they would allocate their votes towards great time. And so the actual mechanism for that occurring, though, is that I guess the contract that the prime 2 fucks contract
Yep.
that has the prime fucks in it
Yep.
is has the ability to vote somehow.
You bet. So you're delegating. It comes down to delegating your votes, right? So they'll have 3 basic options, right? So the first option is they can delegate their vote to themselves, right? And then if I was in the time community, I might delegate the vote to myself, and then I just vote for the great time pool because to push that yield up for myself and everybody else in the community who is participating. And think about this: even if you didn't want to provide LP yourself, but you were in 2 fucks and you had some of these votes that you could direct, you directed them towards the pool of the token that you love. It gives other people a reason not to sell the token, even if you weren't going to. So there's still an advantage in making it better for people who want to provide liquidity, even if you're not providing liquidity. It's another reason not to sell a token. So the community member would do that. They would direct the votes here, right? And they do that every voting cycle, and just keep the pool up. And as they get more yield and they can compound it, they can get more votes and then keep directing it, and so on and so forth. So now that's just one of the delegation options. There's another option. They can delegate to the protocol. So they delegate to 2 fucks, and then 2 fucks will vote for things that are generally best for that ecosystem. So, there's going to be 2 fucks gauge pools, hopefully, pending approval from the fucks team. We'll have 2 different pools. There's going to be a 2 fucks pulse pool, probably 80-20. And then there's going to be a prime 2 fucks pool, which is really cool because the cost of one prime 2 fucks is 1 prime fucks. So it's actually they're of equal value, right? On Balancer, they call it a stable pool, even though it's not stable coins. So there's almost potentially limited or no impermanent loss in a scenario like that. So that's a pool that protocol might want to vote towards. But then we have a third option that's not in our white paper. It's not something that we've promised the community. And that's to delegate your vote to somebody else for bribes.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about the bribes. That was
the bribes are cool.
Yeah, tell me about the bribes.
Yeah, the bribes are cool. And I'm not saying bribes are cool in general. It's not cool. Government bribes are bad. I'm sure it happens. But contract bribes that are all on chain, where everything is traceable and exactly what's going to happen, and it's immutable. Well, that's pretty cool in my opinion. So we're forking another protocol called Hidden Hand. We've actually already done it, and we're just waiting to have 2fucks live to make it work. Now, Hidden Hand allows people to put up bids, right, the bribes, in advance. So a user would be able to go through, and they could delegate to just take the highest bid no matter what it was for, or they could take the bribe for the person or entity that had put it up to vote for the pool that they were interested in anyway. So for example, if I was a LP provider for the Great Time pool and I was interested in pumping that community and pumping my own bags, I would hope that somebody who had an interest in that community would put up a standing bribe, and that I could take that bribe and my vote would go towards the pool I was probably going to vote for anyway, right? But then whoever put up the bribe ensures the vote goes there. And so then I would get, that bribe money that I could reinvest possibly into the same token. And the bribe could actually be paid in the token of the pool. Like you could pay a bribe in time token, for example. I think that's, there's a lot of interesting things there. We'll have a limited number of tokens that they'll have to be approved before they can be used to pay out the bribes. But, I suspect the time token would probably be on the list. So I can choose to take the highest bid, the highest bribe, or if there's a lower bribe, but it's for a community that I want to vote for anyway, I can take a lower bribe and basically have my cake and eat it too and get paid to do so.
I hear you on that. Now, okay. So let's say somebody wants to be the briber, not the bribe.
Yeah.
What? Well, why wouldn't I just go and buy Prime Fucks? Let's say
Yep.
my bribe is $1,000, you know, like, well, what's the benefit of me as the briber?
Yep. Well, first off, chances are the most stable option to have very consistent voting power in the ecosystem is going to be to hold a lot of the 2FUX token to access our pool, right? So that'll be the consistent, like every cycle, how many votes you're going to have. It's, somewhat more predictable. So that's one thing. But the bribe market is a marketplace, right? So there's going to be days where the bribes are going cheap, and there's going to be days where there's a premium where the bribers are FOMOing in to buy those bribes. And on the examples I have on Ethereum, like people are making like 3 to 5% of their bag a month relatively consistently in the bribe money, right?
Wow.
So
Okay.
it starts to be a commodity over time. It'll have ups and downs early on. Some people will be sleeping on it, and there'll be some crazy opportunities. That'll dry up very quickly, because when you're voting on money, people will understand that the votes are worth money very quickly. Probably be some hilarious upsets where some pools get very overvalued as far as the amount of yield they have, and I'll enjoy that. So, but over time, it will be more stable. So the bribes will be an opportunity for like big players in communities, for founders, for whales to boost their, obviously their own positions, but also that of their community by incentivizing it in that way. And that's presumably like you'd probably be the ones that you could get. Not everybody is going to take the bribe option, but that might be a better deal on occasion than if you had bought just $2 and staked it yourself, right? But it just won't be consistent. So the option is there. People can use it if they want to. From the history I have on Ethereum, somebody's always going to have a bribe. I think it's, the market will determine which bribe gets taken, but it will almost never be zero bribes available because you're voting on money. Somebody will be interested in that. And even like a large player who's moving around, 10,000 plus worth of liquidity for the right price, the math might dictate that it was worth paying the bribe. Right. So people can put bids up and they can lowball it. If it doesn't work, then, well, you better raise your bid for the next cycle. But the marketplace is there, and it will find its level, I would say. And aside from big events, new tokens coming out, new pools being engaged where there's a competition, I think there's going to be a value associated with that. And I can't see why it wouldn't mirror or be more impressive than what's on Ethereum, just because on Pulse Chain right now with the lower fees and like the newer decks, like it's actually paying higher yield than you could possibly get on Ethereum. So I think there'll be a thriving bribe marketplace on the Pulse Chain.
So does Aura Finance, does that support the bribe system? Like, can we see an example of this in action currently?
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to share some screens here.
And while you pull that up, Hex Love says, congrats on the IEM price chart. I missed it. And my question to you was, what makes you think you missed it? Drop the comment. I'd be curious. Big Boy says, I'm cracking you up. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm glad you're getting a kick out of it. R3A, good to see you. iHodl says, seems like a good addition to our ecosystem. And KG, what can I say? He's a true warrior for Pulse Chain. Thank you, my friend. Okay. There we go.
Okay. So here's the Aura Finance page, and we can see, like, even now, this is on Ethereum after years. Like, we still see 100%, 200% APRs. Like, this is the way to do this stuff. And these aren't like, some of these are like not the biggest farms, but it's like way less sketchy than a lot of things that you can find in the yield farming department. And as far as Fux goes, it's like far and away, in my opinion, one of the safest options. So what we want to look at here is locking what they call their Aura token and what we'll call our 2FUX token. Right now, when we do that, it brings us to this page where we'll set lock it, etc. And then we're going to have our voting options. But This link they have right here is the hidden hand, which is actually to them is a third-party protocol built by a completely different team. It has its own token and everything, right? But it handles the bribes for Aura. There's other protocols that offer bribes as well, but I like this one because it has that bid option where people can put standing bids. So we can look here, and we can see these are the bids. These are the amounts. So somebody has put up $100,000 towards this pool, $23,000 towards this pool, right? And then here's the price they're paying per vote. You can see in this pool that's paying, 1 cent per vote. Let's start at the biggest one. This one is paying 2.3 cents per vote, right? Now, in this case, one vote is one Aura token. One Aura token is about 75 cents. I haven't checked today, but it's around there, right? So 2.3 cents on 75 cents, and you do that 3 or 4 times a month, right? So we'll just say, 10, that's almost 10% that you'd be able to, or possibly greater, depending how the cycles line up, that you'd be able to pull out of this a month in bribes. If you went specifically with that pool. But like I said, there's other lower ones. You don't have to take that one. You can take the one that suits your interests, right? So if one of these other pools, there's a stable pool with dollar coin and USDC. If I was involved with that, I might take the lower bribe. They're paying not quite 2 cents, still a pretty good deal, instead of the higher bribe, because I was interested in supporting either that community, that pool, keeping the token price up by offering a great yield option, right? It's all right here. You'll scroll down, you'll pick the pool, you'll take the bribe that's there, and you can see the pool of bribes. So once this dries up, once the $6,000 here is gone, then either these guys will have to top it up, or they would have to, or there'll just be no more bribe for that pool, which doesn't stop somebody from voting for it if they want to, but they'll know what they're doing before they make the commitment. And then there'll be smart contracts. You'll be delegating, just for this one voting period, you'll be delegating to get the bribe that they've posted. So when you're talking about, like more than 3% of your bag on a monthly basis, to get the bribes, I think that's pretty interesting. There it is.
So
what do you think of that?
That for instance, that $100,000 there, the 96K, that's not one player has to come in. You can just, so if I have $1,000 worth of votes, I can go in and make $1,000 real quick.
Yeah, you sure can. Yeah, like there's definitely enough. Yeah, no, it's not one player has to come up with $96,000 worth of votes, because that would be tremendous. But these people are probably coming in and taking $100, $200, and big players would come in and take $1,000 off that pool, and so on and so forth. So, and nor do all the pools get that big. Like some of these are $3,000, and that's, in some cases, that's gonna be enough to jumpstart that ecosystem to get some decent yield early on. And probably when we launch, we're going to see some of these smaller numbers to start, but dimes to dollars by the end of the bull market, we're going to start seeing some of these bigger numbers, because the math will dictate that this makes sense. And the whales, the founders, the people who are controlling large pools and want to incentivize not just themselves, which they likely are, but in the entire community to get more yield and to not sell the token that they represent. This will be an interesting way to do it. And like I said, the 2FUCKS token will be a more consistent way, because it's not like a marketplace in the same regards. But best keep an eye on this, because there will be some days where, like maybe the votes start out at with 2 extra zeros on what we see now. It's still going to be effectively free money for the person who's participating, especially if it's something they would have voted for anyway. They might still take that. Now, once other people who are involved in liquidity figure this out and do the math, and it will come down to math, then there'll be competition. And I think we'll start seeing very similar, if not larger numbers than we can see right here on Ethereum. And of course, with the low fees, even if you were claiming $5 in bribe money, it costs you 10 cents. I would pick up $5 all the time for 10 cents. It's not terrible.
It's not bad yield if you're looking in terms of sheer percentage.
Yep.
So, okay. So by somebody paying a bribe to get the vote, they're saying, hey, if $100,000 of voting power comes into our gauged pool, that's going to offset the dollars that I spent to get those votes.
That's right.
I
Yeah,
got it.
exactly.
So for base numbers on this top bribe here, they're paying
Yep.
about 2 cents a vote. So they're
Sure.
saying, hey, we're at least going to make more, we're at least going to make 3 cents per vote that we're paying for, whatever the actual number is.
Yeah.
So I see.
Yeah, and it will depend on like there if it is definitively less expensive to just stake the $2 and use our giant pool, then that would affect the price of the bribes. The bribes will be proportionate to what's happening in the $2 ecosystem, as well as the Fox ecosystem, as far as what the value is and how much it costs to actually boost something without the bribe. So the bribe should always be less. So a benefit for the whale, the founder, the liquidity provider to get the bribe versus doing it themselves, but it just won't be consistent. And the amount of we can't even tell you like how many people will put up the bribe. Like these bribes are here because people haven't taken them yet, right? So like once this pool is empty, it's empty. And of course, like these big ones, somebody's like updating this on a daily basis, possibly. But like once once it's gone potentially. So I feel like a lot of these bribes are waiting for people who have not bit on it yet. They've decided I don't want to do that. I want to direct my own for whatever reason, or I don't see a pool here that I like that I want to support. I'm going to support my community and not take this bribe. So not everybody's going to take this option. And so certainly like people in like in a founder or whale position, it might not make sense for you to sell your votes yourself when you're the one who's likely going to be putting up the bribe. You would just vote yourself for the pool that you were interested in, right? So this won't be for every user. This makes it fantastic for the smaller users because it's like this is a real equalizer on like whale games. Is like, oh, like you only have 0.001% of the vote. Well, do you want to just take $20? Yeah, okay. And then you can reinvest that $20 however you want. And if that happened to be the pool you would have voted for anyway, great. Now, if you're a medium-sized user and you can pull out 10 grand, well, that's pretty interesting. I'm interested in that idea myself, but there's something to be said for this being an open marketplace and the market decides. So one thing we should look at is that this hidden hand here, this is a completely different company from Aura Finance. They have their own token. There's a fee that's associated with this. It's between 8 and 10%, generally speaking, like of the bribe money goes to hidden hand, right? And they have their own token. And it's like, I think it's being paid out to their users, their team, however they're doing it. Now, 2Fucks, we're not making any promises. So this is not on the 2Fucks white paper. This is not something that we've promised to build a community, just something we have built. Now, if we are going to incentivize a token to participate and have like a fee like they're charging, the 8 to 10% range, I think we're very likely to incentivize a token that we feel something in common with the community with. So I could see that being a good thing for the holders of the 2Fucks token. That contract might be something that we could point at. There was this fellow, I think his name was Don Montoya. He came by my chat room the other day, and we were talking about bribes, and he thought maybe the fee could partially go to something like the time buy and burn contract that could be set up to buy and burn 2Fucks tokens. And that would be another thing that would actually be possible. Something like that could be directed to buy time tokens and continue the buy and burn for something like the 2Fucks token. So there's lots of interesting options.
So the fee is paid out in whatever the bribe is. So if someone's bribing in USDC, the fee is USDC.
The person putting up the bribe will have options of what they want to pay out the bribe in, right? So yeah, they could be paying USDC, they could be paying Pulse. There'll be like an obvious list of accepted things. And then like chances are most of the tokens that have gauge pools on Fux will be accepted for bribes. So if you've been approved by the PH team, the Fux team to have a gauge pool, then there's a very good chance that the 2Fucks team will also approve that token to be paid out as bribes, if that makes sense. That doesn't always make sense. You might not want to pay people in your community token. You might want to pay them in Pulse and something, so they're not as likely to sell that. But to me, though, like if I was participating in the great time pool and my whole goal was to get more time and possibly compound that position and participate more to get the bribe paid out in time, that just saves me one step, right? That saves me selling the, the USDC, the Pulse, whatever you were going to give me to buy more time. So, I think for a community to pay in their own token is probably a logical thing, because most people who take that bribe are probably interested in it. Now, if you're the very top bribe because you're really trying to pump something, that's maybe where you'd want to go to Pulse or some other token, because the top bribe could just be taken by the people who want the most money and they're not concerned about which community gets the vote, right? So that's where I maybe look at changing to a stable or Pulse or something else desirable versus your community token. There's a lot of game theory though there, right? And the bottom line, this is extra money, right? So when you look at, like, if this was pointed at the $2 contract, or if there's some sort of buy and burn thing that was going on, this is something that on Ethereum, those were different protocols, different teams. They weren't really helping each other with that, aside from, working together. This is something that makes, especially for smaller users, could potentially make the whole ecosystem substantially more interesting. The yield that could come from something like that. The bribes themselves obviously are huge, but even just the fees from the bribes, if those were directed to the contract, like, that could make for some very interesting numbers and actually make it a much better protocol than what is currently on Ethereum for the users, in terms of yield and just in terms of, the direction of the community.
I hear you on that. And what could be really powerful is if this was getting traction, if there was some way to bridge the gap and because what you have here, this becomes such a distilled crypto user that's going to understand how to interact and even understand all the complexities of this protocol. I like to deem myself as an advanced crypto user. And of course, I'm gonna have to continue to have more conversations, but there are aspects of it I really get, and there are aspects of it that I still feel kind of lost. So if you could, it is, but if you could get the people who are already understanding Aura Finance and Balancer and how all the intricacies work, and you're just like, hey, also do what you're doing over there on this chain. That I'm not going to put you on the spot and say, do you have any plans to do that? But the point is, like, that could be a cool gap to bridge, Yeah.
Yellow Cake in particular, he's been involved with the Aura community. We have a dev that worked on their project. Like, we're on it, right? And we've talked about the concept of airdropping that community specifically, because you could bring over these pro users who by default tend to be like wealthy, right? Like there's some serious money moving through there. It has like something like 450 million. Let me take a look. 345 million total value locked in a relatively new protocol at just the bottom of the bull market potentially, right? So like, yeah, it's big. So yeah, if we could bring over some of those people, that would be interesting. It's not, to me, it's not the main focus. Like I'm more focused on just liquidity providing on the Pulse chain and incentivizing communities specifically to help themselves out by giving their users of a community token another option for yield. So like there's some meme coins on there that are paying sometimes 200-300% APR. And they're, to my knowledge, I haven't done a deep dive, but they're just meme coins, but they've participated in the ecosystem. This is all without 2 Fox. They're just using Fox. So like communities that like understand, adapt, and focus some energy towards getting this yield farming potential in something it's not fly by night. Like it's solid. It's a fork of Balancer V2. I think there's a real future. So that's where we want to keep pushing the education on that and trying to incentivize the Pulse communities. And like, yeah, if the Ethereum whales come in, great. Like, that's fine. We're not going to reach out to them first. So I think that's, that could be a down the road thing that would be discussed. But right now we're trying to bring in people who already use Fox and people who already provide liquidity, whether it's on PulseX or on Fox or some of the other exchanges, I think it's important to understand this, because this is one of the big main building blocks of DeFi, right? If you understand Fox, you understand Balancer. You understand Balancer, you probably understand Curve more or less. It's Balancer's almost a fork of Curve. And then we're looking at, if you understand 2Fox, you understand Aura Finance. If you understand Aura Finance, you understand Convex. Like between these things, these are like, you're talking like, a bunch of top 10, which we hope to be included in as well, protocols on, on the blockchain in general, that like you'll be an expert DeFi user if you can reach that level. So, it's not going to be an easy journey for everybody. We're doing things to make it easy, because that first part, just that boosted yield, some people are just going to participate on that level, right? They don't have to play all the games. They don't have to work on the bribes. They don't even have to have the 2Fox token. They don't have to participate at all, except for to deposit their LP to get the boosted yield. That's fine for a lot of users. And we can walk through somebody with that very quickly. Anybody, and I've been teaching people over the past couple months how to use the Fox exchange, and the people I taught how to provide LP on Fox, they are now equipped to move their token over here and get the boosted yield. That they've reached that level. So the next level with the bribes, with the votes, that'll be something that they can learn, because they'll become part of the ecosystem by default when they do move that LP. But the real people who are going to control the votes will be the initial holders of the 2Fox token, and that'll be where most of that economic voting energy is generated. And long term, I think the votes will actually be, in a lot of ways, worth more than the yield, partly because of the bribes, of course, but really because it's moving so much economic energy to like channel like 53% of the votes, for example. Like there's a lot of economic energy that's being controlled. And that when you're controlling money, control is worth money, I think is a reasonable statement.
So if I want to, and I do think that's a reasonable statement philosophically, it's hard to argue with. If I want to participate in getting bribed, and again, hey, out there, people don't clip this and say KG's looking for bribes. I'm talking about the 2Fox bribing system, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Does you have to have the 2Fox token?
That's right.
Or the prime 2Fox token? Which one?
The 2Fox token. The 2Fox token controls the votes. The prime 2Fox token is just a token that gets you yield, a liquid wrap token, so that you have the option to sell it if you want to.
Got it. So if I want to participate, okay.
You need the 2Fox token.
Right. So we're coming up on about an hour and 20 minutes. And if this is a question you feel comfortable answering, please do. If not, you can plead the fifth.
Yeah.
As the founder of this protocol, not financial advice, what's like the play? I know there's a lot of plays.
Yeah.
But what's the play?
Okay. So the play for us, and like right in our white paper, like we're gonna have like the exact tokenomics aren't defined beyond that. 25% is for the team share and liquidity and other community incentives. Now we're going to define that before, like more specifically before the protocol launches. It's going to look like something like 18% founder share or what have you. And the founder share is locked. It'll be locked for a year or more by default. We're building that says so in the white paper. We're going to build that into protocol if there's not an outside way to do it. So our play will be to use the protocol. So that's how we're making money, is using the protocol, directing our percentage of the votes, right? Staking our tokens to participate, to keep building automatically, that giant pool of prime Fox. That's the play for the founders of this protocol. So what we want is as much Fox as possible locked in this protocol, because when it gets locked in, it adds value to the protocol, and that value never goes away. It just keeps getting bigger. So over the course of, 3 years, that it could become very, very impressive. So it's a long-term play for us. Like we want a short-term play. We want to, this thing has like 30 contracts. Like this is not an easy fork. This, like we've been working on it for 6 months. We're almost done, but like we've obviously invested substantial money and time into this. This is a long-term play to build something that'll be huge. I think this will be top 5 total value lock protocols on the Pulse chain inside of a year. And that's mostly just math. So
okay. Okay. So that's your play as the
Mhm.
founding team. I appreciate you sharing that.
No problem.
Now, as a general user,
Yep.
not the most advanced user, just a general user, what's the play for them? What is, in your opinion, what are obviously more money, but
Yep.
what's the general play for the average user that's going to be interacting with this?
I think like on the lowest level, the yield boost option is there, and that's for everybody. And there's no, aside from knowledge, there's no barrier to entry. You don't have to buy our token. You don't have to participate in our sacrifice or do anything to be able to use the yield boost option. But when you start to look at all the details, the bribes, and being able to vote for the pools that you're participating in, it starts to be, pretty interesting. And they should probably learn how those things work. They might not know on day one, but at the very least, like they don't even have to be LP providers. They can stake their 2FUX tokens to get the bribes, which they can just delegate to the highest bid if they wanted to, and to get the yield from the tokens, and then they get yield in the prime 2FUX token that they can again stake to get more yield. So we'll have a thriving, when we start to talk about having like a really high total value locked and transactions moving through the protocol effectively, there could be very substantial yield for just people who just want to stake something. And in this community, people know how to stake things. Now, as far as the timeline, like on the prime 2FUX token, there's no lock. On the 2FUX token, there's a 16-week lock, which is the same as it is on Ethereum. So there's a 16-week period, 4 months, where your token is locked, and then it unlocks, and you can choose what to do. But during the time it's locked, it's not an either or thing. You get the bribes, you get to choose, you get the votes, and you get the yield. You're not giving up your yield for bribes. You're not giving up your votes for yield. You just get everything during that period where you're locked, and you can just like cycle it to be permanently locked if that's what's interesting to you, right? Which is, I think, what probably most of the users are going to do, because the math will be there.
So the average user, it sounds like in your not financial advice statement,
Yep.
two fucks is the play for the average user in your system. Get 2FUX.
If you're interested in just making yield without anything else, staking the 2FUX token, that's going to open all the doors. Right. That's the key to the ecosystem, is the 2FUX token. That's the key to the big pool that we have. That's the key to the bribes. And like, chances are that once people participate on that level, they're going to learn about the other things. They're going to spend time in our Telegram room, and we're going to teach them how to provide liquidity and access some of these, very interesting pools, and possibly, incentivize the pools with the votes themselves, so they can, make the community that they're interested in have better yield.
Okay. Well, I am going to need some time to digest all that, and I know I'm going to have follow-up questions
It's
with
pretty heavy.
which I will definitely reach out and follow up. Now, as far as I know, you in the beginning you made the disclaimer that your team is completely separate from the Fox team. Is there any synergy there? Is there any, hey, you guys know you're working on a similar ecosystem? What's the
Yeah.
synergy?
There's I'd say the synergy, like, I'm not going to put any words in their mouth, but like,
Sure.
it's I'm comfortable with saying that we have an amicable relationship, and that they've been supportive of us, particularly in things when we start to talk about security, contract risk and things like that. They have like their dev 3 errors, one of their guys, he's super on it. Like, he's not pulling any punches with us. There's no backdoor deals. $0 is changing hands. They're literally just helping us to build on top of their protocol with, the information to keep the users safe, just so that we do it right. But aside from us building a machine that will permanently buy their token and never sell it continuously, there's no incentive in it for them. Now, I think that's incentive enough. I can't speak for them in this case, but I think there's a happy agreement between the teams, that we want to do the best thing for the community. This is, when we looked at this protocol, we were actually planning on doing something else first. We'd broken ground on a different protocol, and we changed and switched to this when we found it, and we figured it out, and we did the deep dives, which was really deep, as you can tell, because this was actually the biggest missing piece on the Pulse chain. This is the biggest protocol that isn't already forked in some way, was this. So you have a fork of like effectively Convex, Aura, on the Pulse chain. This is like one of the biggest DeFi things that you can have. This is something that people are going to look at from the outside, be like, oh, there's a Convex fork now. I think the Pulse chain's ready. This is going to be a tipping point for some people who are deciding when the Pulse chain is ready for them to move into, is there's a Convex fork. That's an advanced user that's looking for something like that. It's not, it's not a meme guy, chances are, but users who are aware of such things, understand them and use them daily, and will come for the lower fees and higher APR. Yeah, they're going to understand stuff like that, and it's going to be worthwhile. So for us to build this in the community, like the Fux team, and other teams who understand, I've had really strong support from other teams who have some awareness of what these protocols are. Like, they're happy because this is major DeFi. This is going to bring in the whales from Ethereum potentially. There's some big value for the chain in general. So we're hoping to participate on that level.
I appreciate that statement. I think it's very important for people to know that Fast Abdul, as the founder of Two Fucks, sounds like he's not making any express statements that this is endorsed by Fox,
Nope.
but they are aware of each other. And I can also vouch for Three Errors, one of the Fox devs, when we were bringing Fox support into the Internet Money wallet for in-app swapping. Three Errors was very helpful, very responsive, and helped us get to the bottom of it. So great team in the PH ecosystem. They're doing a lot of awesome things for crypto. They're doing a lot of awesome things for Pulse Chain. And I agree, they have brought some necessary technology to Pulse Chain. So, and even though the things that you just talked about and they do are more for an advanced user, that's okay, because blockchains have everybody on them. It's not just appealing to one person. You need the advanced stuff. You need the beginner stuff. And so I can certainly appreciate the endeavor that you've embarked upon. And at this point, I think that I actually have a really general idea of what it is you're building. Or if finance is new to me, so I'm gonna need to learn some more about that. And I want to continue to learn about what you're doing. Because it does sound beneficial if executed properly, and B, I just like to learn about crypto. And so, you're opening my mind right now to brand new stuff that I didn't know existed. And so, on that, is there anything else that you want to bring up?
Okay. Well, before we do the test to see what you've retained from our conversation, I should probably go through our sacrifice, because that's relevant to us right now. Right.
Okay.
So we're doing a sacrifice, which I'm fully aware is not always a popular concept, but we've taken, we've taken the lead from some of the better protocols like Internet Money, the PH protocols, etc., in that it's a capped sacrifice. So it's capped at $2 million. We won't take $1 more than that. And even if the sacrifice doesn't, move past where it is now, the protocol is launching anyway. That's fine. The percentages on the white paper don't change regarding the sacrifice, but it's made for the users. The sacrifice is. So the number of points that goes out, right? It's going to be based on the people who sacrifice up to the maximum of $2 million. If it comes in under $2 million, the amount of points will still go out, and the percentages associated with that will still stay the same. So it's not meant for whales in the same way as some other sacrifices. Like, we have a volume bonus, which is only 25%. So the highest sacrifice dollar gets a 25% bonus, versus Pulse X that had a 250% bonus. So 10 times less. So yeah, like, whales are coming in and bringing in $100,000. They're going to get a little something extra, but it's not going to be a tax on the poor type thing where it wrecks a guy who throws in $1,000. And I know I have a lot of guys who are DCAing right now. They're putting in their Fux yield as it comes out, like on a daily or weekly basis, sometimes $100, $200, a day. And that's fine. That's why we made it that way, without that crazy whale bonus where only 2 or 3, participants really get the best deal and everybody else is way, way below them. So, and with that in mind, we've also given a large early bird period. So right now we have a 25% early bird bonus that goes for the first 60 days. We start on January 5th. All right, so there's still a fair amount of time left in that early bird bonus. So there was no better deal than is happening right now in terms of points, and there won't be a better deal than is happening right now as long as it's before the 60 days are up. The points are the same for everybody. So, and I'll give a little tip off that there's a very good chance around the end of the 60 days that we'll be ready to launch the protocol, or at least to close it down and finish the audit if it's not already in progress. So I wouldn't want people to anticipate the sacrifice actually going over the 60 days, even though we haven't promised that that is the case as of yet. I feel like either we'll be full or we'll be ready to launch around the time that that 60-day period is up.
Okay, so the sacrifice is running until the protocol launches?
The sacrifice will run until it's full, or until we've decided we have enough, full being the $2 million absolute max, or we're just ready to launch or ready for our audits and we don't want to deal with that anymore. We could have launched this with, we contemplated launching the protocol without a sacrifice. Yellow Cake was a big proponent of that in particular, but with this protocol, and the needs of the protocol, there's, we decided that was something that was an interesting concept, and we have a political statement we thought people might want to sacrifice for. So that's on the 2Fucks website. All the details are there. I'd have everybody read that, read all the disclaimers, and understand that when you sacrifice, you're not expecting to make any profit from the work of others, etc. So just like other sacrifices before us from some of the better protocols here. But we're doing this with the community in mind. And when we look at our sacrifice page, it shows we have some extra bonuses for certain tokens. And the biggest bonus is actually for the Fucks token. We're paying 3% bonus if you send us the Fucks token to the sacrifice. I can't tell you why we've chosen to incentivize that token, but I think from an understanding the protocol, you maybe work that out. So yeah, we're really hoping that a lot of people sacrifice Fucks tokens. I think that would be that's a good thing to sacrifice. Fortunately, I can't do too many more details. I have trouble with this sacrifice talk, but you get where I'm coming from.
So how much of the total supply of 2Fucks, or is that what you're sacrificing for, 2Fucks?
The protocol is 2Fucks, yeah. So when we look at the tokenomics of 2Fucks, right, which is displayed on our page, 25% of the total tokens, right, is going towards the the initial users of the ecosystem will get 25% of the tokens. And to be clear, 25% of the tokens is 50% of the initial tokens that are available, with 50% being locked in the protocol and given out over time as yield, right? So on day one, the initial holders of the token, aside from the team and liquidity pools, will have 50% of the available tokens. And so it's, fairly substantial. It's comparable to the tokenomics on liquid loans, I think, except for we're looking for $2 million versus $52 million.
Okay, but you are ultimately getting the 2Fucks token.
The token that our community, the first holders will have, will be the 2Fucks token.
Got it. Okay. And so far, do you know what your total is currently?
Let me just take a quick look here. We are just short of $160,000. The sacrifice is on the Hex Pulse Info website. So that's that's the place where most of us have gone over the years to read about new protocols and check out the sacrifices. So we can, maybe I should just share that real quick here. It tells the story. There it is. Okay. Could you pull it up for me?
Yep.
There we go. Okay, so $157,736. So it's a fair start. Certainly, it's as much as we need to get the ball rolling, though. With the goals of the protocol, I think we'd like to get closer to our goal of the $2 million sacrifice. So there's definitely time, and people are definitely still early. You'll see here, and I'm sure you're familiar, KG, that the rankings. So this indicates that it's the team is effectively doxed. We're well known by the community. We've appeared on streams or in person inside the community, and that our team, the devs building it, are known devs with like their own GitHubs, etc. And that our plan, we're forking an existing protocol. We have a white paper. The only things that are in this orange, which is they just have green, orange, red, are that we don't have an audit yet because that's it. It's not quite time for that. And then this would turn green. And then we don't have a test net because there's no test net of the Fux exchange running right now. So we're effectively running our own private real net, but there's not a test net for our users. And we might set something up by doing our own fork of Bouncer or something, but we're not promising anything like that at this time. Just depending on where we're at with the protocol and how those audits come back, we'll make those final decisions. But it's generally, I think we're well regarded by the community. We're fairly trusted, and those rankings indicate that. So, yeah, we're hoping people will choose to participate. But if they don't, that's okay too. They can still use the protocol, like I said. So they can still come. They can bring their LP tokens. They can get the boosted yield the protocol will provide. So there's, we're just giving all the options.
Yeah, you've certainly chosen a unique time to do a sacrifice because the community is seemingly pretty much against them. But the fact that you have every right to go for the sacrifice, and if, like you said, if people choose to participate, then well, that's their financial freedom right to do so.
Yep.
So if do it.
Well, I think I've noticed in the last week or two here that the sentiment's actually changing quite a bit. Like we opened the sacrifice on January 5th, which was about 7 days before the pump in the ecosystem, right? So that was the lowest of the low as far as times to open a sacrifice. And of course, people did participate anyway, and they understood that it was a cap sacrifice, and the tokenomics were all defined. They could do the math. But like when Pulse Chain was at that low and people were not really feeling optimistic, it was a different feel in people talking about the sacrifice and participating. Now that Richard's kind of come back and stuff's happening, we're fighting the SEC. The community has been much more supportive. We saw an immediate doubling of our sacrifice very quickly after that news came out. So, and we're seeing it continue to trickle in every day at a much quicker rate than before the things took a turn for the better. So we're pretty optimistic. And there's also the fact that we are not forcing people to FOMO. We didn't do the thing where like, oh, you have the first 10 minutes to get in to get the best rate, or the first week or the first day. You have 60 days right now, around 40 days to get the best deal, right? So people are doing the reasonable thing. They're DCAing. They're not wrecking themselves and selling at super high slippage to be able to participate in our sacrifice. They're coming in a little bit at a time, or they're saving it for the right time where they think they're going to get the best price or whatever for the token they're participating in. I know some guys are buying up PHUX and holding it until they think the price is going to go up, and then they're going to sacrifice it. People, they have time to play these games. Now, of course, when we get to the last, 2 weeks, 10 days, I think we're going to see that's when the FOMO is going to come in, because the 25% will be gone. And I'm going to keep telling people that probably that's going to be close to the end regardless. So I think that's probably where we're actually going to see the majority of the sacrifice will be in the last 10 days or so. But, time will tell.
All right. And with that said, I have all the links to contact Fast Abdul to find more information on the 2FUX protocol. Maybe sometime down the line when you guys actually launch,
Right.
we can revisit the interview and and so that it's less conceptual and we can see things happen in real time with demos. I think that would be really cool because again, I really want people to walk away from these interviews, learning more. Even if this felt like a fire hydrant effect, take one golden nugget from this conversation, and I would feel like we won today. So is there anything you want to say in closing remarks? Any particular place you want to point people to learn more?
Well, but before we do that, KG, we got to do your test now. So you gone to school, you got to take the test. So I posted there. Let's take a look.
Okay.
So this is the strategy. right, that I just whipped up here, but the concept is it follows everything we talked about today. All right, so we're going to start in the top left hand corner here, where you can see Fast Abdul peeking through, and the Internet Money Wallet token. Okay, so a user using the IM wallet would deposit their time and pulse into the Great Time pool on the Fux.io exchange to get the Great Time LP token. And over here, this alien, that's the logo for the Great Time LP token, right? Which is the Internet Money alien, which is cool. So this is the token you get by adding 80% time, 20% pulse. Then the user will be able to follow that over. They deposit that LP token on 2Fux, and they would get up to the 2.5x boosted yield in the 2Fux token and the Fux token. The Fux token, which is that logo there, they can convert it into the Prime 2Fux, right? Which then can be staked for more Prime 2Fux, as well as the 2Fux token. The 2Fux token, they can lock to receive yield, and the Prime 2Fux token again, which again they can stake for more tokens, right? And then that gives them boosted voting power on the Fux.io exchange. And then we're assuming this person is an Internet Money maxi, right? So then they're going to go to Bribery. They're going to sell their votes for Bribes, but only to Bribes for the Great Time pool. And then they're going to take that bribe, which could be in the time token, and they're going to convert it into more Great Time LP tokens on the Fux exchange, so they can continue the ecosystem. I missed putting the Tetra badge on here because I was rushing, but this is one of the examples of something that you would be able to automate with Tetra, right? This is exactly, we had Tetra very much in mind, and we'll have a link right on our front end to Tetra for strategies like this. So this is the type of thing that I'll maybe be making instructional videos, probably in your case, using the Internet Money Wallet, and how users could participate and follow all these steps to have this effect to compound their earnings, to compound their voting power, and to compound their yield.
Can you send this to me?
I can.
Okay. I like flow charts. I think a lot of people appreciate flow charts. I appreciate you in the future making your tutorials with the Internet Money Wallet. I hope everybody watching follows suit. Tutorials are a great way to get adoption. So whatever you're doing out there in crypto and DeFi, use your Internet Money Wallet in those tutorials, and it will help Internet Money grow. So I just see someone posted in the chat. They said, can you send this to me too? If he sends this, we will get it posted in our Telegram, which you can see. That link is below, or you can go to internetmoney.io and click join our community.
Good. I'll have it posted in my Telegram too. So this is the first one I've ever made like this. And yeah, we can, this will be the test of seeing if people can follow exactly how it's going. But I think for people to think about it with the protocol that they know in mind is going to help them understand this, fairly complex process.
All right. Is there anywhere you want to point people specifically?
The thing I'd like people to do the most, like obviously, yeah, we want you to take a look at the sacrifice and stuff like that. But for safety reasons and for knowledge reasons, before you do that, come to our Telegram room. That's where I spend the most time. That's where Yellow Cake spends the most time. We have voice chats every day. Sometimes there'll be a dozen guys in there going over stuff, talking about, and we're in an agnostic room because we want to work with other protocols. We're talking about how many protocols can interact with our project. So we have lots of guys from other teams and from, other communities coming in and talking about 2Fux and, the PH ecosystem and how this is all going to work together. And yeah, that's the best place to do it, is come into the room, find out, make sure you have the right links. Now the website's very straightforward, 2fux2phux.io. That is links to the Telegram room and to everything. That's a safe place to start as well. But yeah, we'd really like to talk to you before you make any move, just to make sure you understand what you're doing. Just because it's a little heavier, but there's so many advanced users in the Pulse Chain ecosystem. I feel confident people are going to be able to pick this up.
I agree. There are a lot of advanced users in the Pulse Chain ecosystem, and we've been trained over the years to become more and more advanced. So I think that protocols that have complexity have a place on Pulse Chain. So I must say, as a fellow Pulse Chain builder, thank you for building. I truly want to see Pulse Chain win and succeed. So thank you for doing your part in ensuring that happens.
Thanks, KG. And I just wanted to take a quick second to thank both you and Don. You guys were one of my biggest inspirations to build on the Pulse chain. I've been participating in, your community as an admin, and just the chance to interact with the team, to see how everything worked from the sacrifice to the first launches for the wallet and so on and so forth. Like, that really inspired me, watching how you guys dealt with the Pulse chain users, dealt with the community, dealt with like your devs and your admins. That inspired me to want to build on the chain. So thank you very much to both of you for that. It's been a long journey, and I'm almost at the end of this part. And you're launching. You have your V1 launch now, right? So
Yes, sir.
I know that you're launching more and more things, and you're improving continuously, right? But we're starting to get there, and it's pretty cool. So I'm happy for both of us in that regards.
Well, I'm honored to know that we have inspired you, because
100%.
we put our blood, sweat, and tears to build what we've built, and we will continue to do so. And so to hear that from another builder is, I'm not sure there's a greater compliment, because we want other builders to come onto Pulse Chain. We want other builders to be inspired to bring their technology here, because the more people that build, the more people we're going to attract, and the more successful Pulse Chain is going to be. So to know that we had a part in that inspiration, thank you for sharing that, man. Truly.
My pleasure. Thank you, KG. And thanks for having me tonight. That was great. I'm glad we could chat in person, so to speak. That was a good time.
Okay. Likewise, I'm going to pull you down. I'm going to close with some final thoughts, and then I'm going to close the stream down. So again, all links are in the description, and talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right, everybody. I got a few questions here in the chat. And again, for everybody who's been patient with my voice this evening, I really appreciate that. What's up, Brissology? Good to see you. What's up, David Lee? Good to see you. What's up, Crunchy Legato? Good to see you all. Let's go ahead and go back to these questions real quick. Sergio says, will we ever see Pulse Chain fees go up after time? Will they get as expensive as ETH? If Pulse Chain is as successful as we believe it will be, then you will see Pulse Chain fees go up. That's the nature of a successful network. People start paying more to get that block space. So I don't know if we'll ever see them get as expensive as ETH. I can't say that. But if Pulse Chain gets as popular as ETH, then the fees will be as expensive as ETH. I hodl, congrats on the time all-time high. If you haven't seen it yet on Pulse Chain, the time dividend token continues to make all-time highs. Alsamac says he gives all the fucks when it comes to IM. Timothy Harris says, hit the likes, please do. Lael says, looking to import my MetaMask wallet onto my Internet Money wallet. Can you do a video in the near future? Yes, we can do that. You can take your seed phrase or your private key from MetaMask and import it into Internet Money. Or if you have a hardware wallet, you can connect your hardware wallet to the Chrome extension as well. We will have a video on that very soon. And on that note, everybody, normally at this point, I might try to really conceptualize everything that we learned here today. I guess I will a little bit, just really losing that voice. 2 fucks is a complex protocol, and that's okay because there are complex users. Again, what you saw here this evening was me learning in real time. It's okay to admit when you don't know something, because part of doing your own research in crypto, part of protecting yourself in crypto, is understanding the technology that you're interacting with before you interact with it. So I am definitely, even after this conversation, am going to continue to ask more questions and further my understanding. So I hope that everybody learned something today. And if you didn't learn something about the protocol that we spoke about, I hope at the very least you learned something about how to properly question things you are interested in. We're going to end this stream with the Internet Money Anthem. It's 2 minutes. It's got philosophy. It's got the beats. If you have not heard it, I highly suggest sticking around. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and next time, I am KG. Peace.
What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is more than just money. Cryptocurrency is a lifestyle, a philosophy, an ecosystem, the means by which human beings to attain financial freedom, not just in the sense of multiplying their investment, but giving humans the ability to interact with money in any way that they see fit. And if that way doesn't already exist, that's the beauty of crypto, is you can create it. And that's what we've done here. Internet money is the future. Internet money is the future. What is internet money, you ask? Well, it's just that. The future. Internet money. Internet money is the future. Internet money.
Base God on the blockchain.
Internet money. Internet money. Financial freedom. Internet money. Internet money is the future. Internet money. Is the future. Internet money. Internet money is the future. Internet money. Internet money is the future.
Got my own keys and my own coin. Gotta protect this money. Took too long for me to get it. Can't let them take